the longest playoff drought in the NFL. Baker Mayfield has regressed by all accounts. He's been playing injured all season, and now Mary Kay Cabot of the Cleveland Plain Dealer in Cleveland.com reports that there's a rift between Baker and head coach Kevin Stefanski. Baker's issues with Stefanski bubbled below the surface most of the season, according to Mary Kay Cabot. Was Baker feeling like Stefanski's play calling didn't always put him in a position to succeed or play to his strengths? If Baker doesn't get reassurance that things will change next season, he'll consider asking to be traded. So Baker responded to that tweet by calling it clickbait. You and many other Cleveland local media continue to be drama-stirring reporters with no sources or facts. Don't put words in my mouth so you can put food on your table. I'm not your puppet. So here's Todd Haley, who was the Browns' offensive coordinator when Baker was selected number 1 overall in 2018, on what's gone wrong with Baker.
Well, I think he's on number 1. When you're drafted number 1 overall, you know some of this. I mean, the expectations that are put on you are sometimes not all fair. Now you're talking about a quarterback that was drafted number 1 overall. In that draft, for me personally, as we went through the process of looking at all those guys, you got a bunch of teams, the Browns being one of them, desperate to find a face of the franchise type quarterback. I don't know if in other years those guys would have got drafted necessarily where they did.
Yeah, when you think about it, so Todd is 100% right there as the number 1 overall pick. There's a lot of expectations, a lot of pressure to put on you. People expect because where you were drafted and not really understanding why you were drafted there. They just think, best player, number 1 overall. It's like circumstances and situations dictate sometimes why you were drafted in certain positions. You also got to remember, this is a different regime. This regime was not in place. Andrew Berry worked for the organization, then he went to the Philadelphia Eagles and came back as a general manager. But he wasn't the individual who selected Baker Mayfield as the quarterback spot. It was John Dorsey, former general manager prior to that of the Kansas City Chiefs, and now the Cleveland Browns, who fired Hugh Jackson and Todd Haley and gave Freddie Kitchens the job on the interim basis and hired him as a full-time head coach. And eventually they all got fired, and Kevin Stefanski comes in, Andrew Berry comes in, and to evaluate Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield took him to the playoffs a year ago. Now all of a sudden they're out of the playoffs. He's been banged up. So now there's an evaluation process that's going on long term. Can they do better out on the street picking up somebody else? Or do they roll the dice one more year and say to themselves, is there a better free agent crop out there in 2023? Is there a better quarterback crop out there in college football in 2023? And see if Baker Mayfield can get healthy and do it all over again.
Okay, just to be added to your point, when I was trying to make a comeback, and I got very close to the next owner at the time, which is different than the ownership now between Joe and Claire Stein. It was really interesting because I was going to the team regardless of who they drafted, but having insight with the owner about how so many different individuals felt different ways about who they were about to draft. Now, they were getting Marcus Williams from UConn at the time, but it was very kind of like torn about a certain part of the group. They didn't like him, didn't think he was the right fit, didn't think he was going to be pan out, and then one guy in particular was just fixated on him. So you talk about what players have to endure when there's one guy who maybe has a little bit more clout than others and takes a chance on you, and you feel like it's your guy, but then when the regime change happens and there's still fragments of that, that ownership group or those people who are executives who maybe weren't on the side of saying he was the guy, that puts the player in one hell of a predicament. And I think that's what you're seeing here in Cleveland with Baker. I don't think Baker is a long-term answer for the team. I really do think they're going to move forward. And I think Baker is really in a position where he's trying to find out, hey, I do think a fresh start for him will be the right move, because I don't think Cleveland's going to be a place where he's going to end his career or it's going to be the right landing spot for him to win games.
Guys, I think Baker Mayfield is a starting caliber quarterback. I think he's a mid-pack type quarterback. However, something he said earlier today, and we touched on it the other day too, got me to thinking. Name me a team where Baker makes sense for them in the following ways, okay? He is definitively better than what they had, with more upside going forward.
Right, you're talking about him being healthy, not this year where you take Baker over Joe.
But see what I mean?
Kelsey, I would take him over Kelsey.
I don't know that. I don't know that.
I would.
I don't know. You know, Davis Mills? Probably not. I'm trying to think of who else. Like, what are we talking about here? Teddy Bridgewater?
How about Pittsburgh?
Probably not.
They can't get somebody.
There you go. You need to find a team that doesn't have anyone. Like, that's my point. When you start getting to the level of he's sort of a mid-pack quarterback, those guys, like, a lot are interchangeable. You don't really, like...
Well, that's what I always say, though. I always say that.
The same guy, man. The same guy, like Case Keenum. Case Keenum can run that Cleveland offense okay.
A lot was on the line for Baker Mayfield to... Look, Baker Mayfield didn't get hurt and he played well, he get an extension. That's not where we're at right now. He's still in the evaluation process. You cannot fully evaluate a hurt player that's hurt, that came off a good season. It's hard to evaluate.
Yeah, it is. He's hurt. But part of it is he's expensive already. He's, almost $20 million for a guy who's kind of interchangeable. He's small. He's not fast. And he's coming on, and because he's also hurt already, right? Also, you get things like he tweets back at local reporters. I'm just saying, like, when you are not Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes or someone like that, if you don't have that eye-popping talent, but all those other things really matter. So if names mentioned by Mary Kay Cabot could replace Baker or come in and compete with him in Cleveland, let's say he doesn't go anywhere. Kirk Cousins, guys, let's start there. Played for Stefanski in Minnesota. Would love to play for him again. That's a quote Kirk Cousins, right? Or at least that's what Mary Kay writes. Right?
I would say Kirk Cousins over Baker, yeah.
See?
Healthy Baker, Kirk Cousins, kind of the same thing. But what are you asking for out of Kirk Cousins? How long do you plan on having him?
Yeah, I like Baker a little more than Kirk, actually. I know I'm
It's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing when they both were healthy.
Basically the same thing. I believe in Baker more than Kirk for whatever reason. At least he hasn't shown me that he can't be relied on yet. What about Jimmy G?
I'd take Jimmy G.
Me too. What about Derek Carr?
I'd take Derek Carr.
Me too. Two NFL quarterbacks who have had a ton of success, but have one thing missing from their resume. We'll tell you what that is after Jay has this from Straight Talk.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good, right? Really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless. Now offering a $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable network. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise. A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
They said we were nuts back in the fall of 1979, saying that all sports, 24 hours a day, would make it on TV. And now you say we're nuts trying to start ESPN Radio? We're dead serious. We know you like us on TV, and if you do, you'll love us on radio. 30 years and counting. This is ESPN Radio. More Keystone, Cable, and Max.